to bring back a 14 and a 20-year-old who were allegedly abducted and trafficked. A woman posing as a former teacher removed the two from the care of their grandmother in Mpumalanga. Now, this was almost a year ago. Social development spokesperson Lumka Oliphant says the woman had promised to send them to Britain to further their education. It is believed the woman may have physically abused and exploited them. A team comprised of Interpol and department officials will help their repatriation. Now, Lumka is on the line with us to talk more about this. Lumka, thank you very much for your time. Let's first talk about the well-being of these two youngsters that have now been tracked down. Is it true that the minor is now suffering from malaria?
That's the report that we're getting from our officials, that the minor is suffering from malaria. So we need to just get there and find out exactly what's going on.
Yeah. When are the victims expected back in South Africa?
We are arriving back on Thursday because we still need to make sure that we do all the necessary from the other side, and also just to make sure that the well-being of the children and where we'll be exactly taking them when we arrive in the country.
Yeah. Now, just getting back to the story, at the crux of it all, just talk us through the events, how they unfolded. The information that we have is that this woman who abducted the two, both of them from Mpumalanga, was promising the grandmother that they would be going to the UK to get a good education. Is that the story as well?
That is a story that we are hearing at the moment. And as you know, we still have to do our investigations, because at the moment now, the most important thing for us to do is to make sure that we get the minor back in the country, especially because the department is obligated to make sure that we bring our children in distress in foreign countries. Once we hear from the children, because we have not made any contact with them in terms of investigation, and speak to them to tell us their story, we'll be able then to tell you what do they understand about what had happened to them.
How did news of this come to you? How did this investigation all pan out?
Okay. There was the grandmother reported the case in Mpumalanga at a police station, and we then listed a missing persons case. Then our Interpol guys then found out that the children were in Malawi. Then we were then contacted by Interpol, which is why we are going with them today to Malawi.
Yeah, and you have tracked down their whereabouts. Do you know much about the conditions that they're living in and their well-being? I know we speak about the 14-year-old having malaria, but just, is there anything else? Has anybody spoken to them? Do we know anything about them at this point?
They have been removed from the woman and are staying with social services in Malawi. We know that they have reported that there has been some abuse that was going on physically whilst they were staying with the woman. So once they're there, I'm sure we'll be able to give more information.
Yeah. How do things happen things like this happen? I mean, are there so many incidences that are happening that perhaps we're not aware of, and this is a big gap in the South African system when it comes to trafficking minors?
Yes, it happens, Leanne, which is why we need to talk more about it. We need to educate our communities. We have found as well that children who are in foster care are most vulnerable, because these ones are orphaned and they were being looked after by their grandmother. And from reading what we have, it looks like the person also had time to have a relationship with the family. So we need to start talking more about it, because it's a real thing. And at social development, we normally were searching at children who are victims of drug trafficking, but now it is actually human trafficking.
Do we know much about the woman that's actually abducted them? Will she also be brought back during this mission?
I don't think we are going to bring her back, but I'm still going to hear from our SABC guys what have they found, and if what are they going to do, criminal cases or anything, or what they're doing with the other police in Malawi. So at this point, I can only speak on the work that social development is doing, because we need to get back the minor child from Malawi.
Is this woman South African, or is she actually Malawian?
We hear that she is Malawian.
Okay. Just finally, I know that it's quite difficult to talk about this because you sort of on the sidelines of information, and you will have more when this does happen. So you're expecting to make contact and fetch them today and bring them back to South Africa. Will this be happening today as well, or when can we expect them arriving back in the country?
We're arriving back in the country on Thursday.
On Thursday.
Remember, also, when you're removing a child from another country, it's also another process in that country. They must release illegally by the country. So we still need to do all those things as well, and we are also needing to make sure that once we land in the country, we are sure about where we are going to take them, and investigations are being done as we speak within the country to make sure that we also speak to the grandmother and find out if she is fit to look after the minor child.
That's another issue, I imagine, that will have to be worked on once they arrive back here in South Africa, is to the fitness. We will talk to you again on your arrival back, and we wish you the best with bringing them back into the country. Lumka Oliphant is the social development spokesperson. They're making their way to Malawi today after it was discovered that two South Africans, a 14-year-old and a 20-year-old, were allegedly abducted and trafficked to Malawi. So we'll watch that story with keen interest as it develops. All right, let's